Fantasy football season is upon us. Hello, everybody. I am Andrew Wilbar. Today, we're going to be going through the first few players in my current rankings. It is time to be getting into those rankings, figuring out your draft strategies for your draft. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I hope you'll watch this video. If you are into fantasy football, hopefully I can help you avoid a first-round bust. You can't win your league with your first-round pick, but you can lose it. So we're going to try to avoid the first round bust today. So we're going to start off at the top of my board. Christian McCaffrey, number one player. Most people have him number one. I think he's a pretty safe play. There's a new offense there, I know, head coaching change and stuff, but if anything, I don't think he'll actually add better production, but I think Joe Brady and Matt Rule will bring better offensive system to Carolina than what was previously there with Norv Turner and Ron Rivera. So I really like McCaffrey's outlook. I think he's going to back last year up with another fantastic year. And followed right by him is Saquon Barkley in my rankings. Some people have Ezekiel Elliott number 2 or even Michael Thomas number 2. I have Barkley 2 just because I think he does bounce back to more of his rookie year form and stuff. We know the athletic freak that he is. And I think this year Daniel Jones will do a better job of taking care of the ball. So I expect Barkley to have a really good year. Plus, my guess is they're going to be in more games this year, so they may rely more on Barkley. Last year they were getting behind early on in games and had to be throwing the ball a lot, which they still may. But I think Barkley's going to be a big part of the offense. I think he's a safe play. He'll consistently get you good numbers. Number 3 player is Michael Thomas. Again, I think you're safe here. It'll be interesting to see what unfolds in New Orleans with the comments that Drew Brees just made a day or two ago about the flag thing and stuff that didn't really go well in the locker room. We'll see what happens there. But if they fix those things internally, I think Michael Thomas is a safe play. He's a number 1 receiver. They did sign Emmanuel Sanders. I don't think he'll take too many of the targets from Thomas, though. Being a shorter offseason, Breeze won't have time to get that report with Sanders. So I think that you're safe with Thomas. He may not quite get last year's protection, but I still think he's the clear-cut number 1 wide receiver in fantasy. Our number 4 player is Ezekiel Elliott. This one, a lot of people think this is a safe pick. I'm not so sure because Travis Frederick, their fantastic center, retired. Their offensive line hasn't been as elite as it had been the couple years previous. Last year they weren't quite as dominant. They did get Tyler Biadasz, who's a really good run-blocking center, in the 5th round of the draft this year. But they did get CD Lamb in the 1st round. They're going to be throwing the ball a lot. And a lot of people think that could help Elliott because they'll be winning in a lot of games and they'll run the ball later in the game. Then Elliott won't have a stacked box. You know, that all makes sense. But I remember back several years ago when I was always drafting Eddie Lacy with the Packers, and Mike McCarthy would never run the ball. It drove me crazy because at that time I thought Eddie Lacy was actually a solid back. When he was in shape, you know, he was pretty explosive. But Elliott, I'm just wondering how many carries he's going to get because Mike McCarthy is not one who believes in running the ball. He wants to throw the ball a lot. So I would almost say pass on Zeke Elliott. Maybe if you feel confident in one of the Cowboys wide receivers, invest in them. Elliott would be okay as a number 4 player, but I wouldn't move him up any higher than 4 just because I think there is that potential of a bust. Number 5, Alvin Kamara. Again, we'll see what happens with the Saints internally if they can get these problems with Breeze fixed internally, if they can, you know, come to peace, for lack of a better term. I think Kamara's a safe play. I still don't think his ceiling is where he was as a rookie. He hasn't been quite the same without Mark Ingram. I think the jury's still out of whether he can be a workhorse back. He's one of the elite backs in the game, but you can be elite and not be a workhorse. It really can. He did better when he had Mark Ingram feeding. They were feeding off each other. We'll see what Latavius Murray's role is, but I think he'll still get a lot of touches. And he'll still be targeted in the passing game as well. Brees likes to throw to his running backs. So I think it's a safe play, just not sure what his ceiling is. Maybe he goes back to rookie form, but I think right now, I would say mid first round. If you're in the middle of that first round, not sure who to take. That's not the spot I want to be this year. I'm praying that I get a top 3 pick in the draft this year, preferably top 2. Get one of the 2 running backs because the running backs are going to be going off the board really quickly. This year, there's not a ton of great workhorse backs. There's a lot of running back by committee. So get your running backs early. And after that, there's a lot of different receivers you can take off of there. You have Devontae Adams, who's my number 2 receiver. He's going to get a gazillion targets, but he's also going to be double covered. The Packers didn't draft a wide receiver. Still can't believe they didn't. Allen Lazard, I will say, is a sleeper. He's one that you should keep an eye on. I think he will be their number 2. Maybe Marquez Valdez-Scantling, guy that I've liked coming out of USF. Maybe he can emerge and come on the scene. But then after that, a lot of people have Chris Godwin there. He's one guy I'm saying to avoid in the first round. A lot of people are hyping him up as a first-round pick. He's a guy I think you should avoid. With a shortened offseason, Brady won't have the time to gain rapport with the receivers. So I'm actually saying to avoid both Evans and Godwin because we don't really know which one Brady's going to really go to. He's also been one to throw more to his tight ends. We don't know how much of a target share Gronk's going to take up, or O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate. There's so many weapons there. I'm just avoiding Tampa Bay's offense. It sounds crazy, but I'm going to avoid the Tampa Bay passing game completely just because I don't know who's going to be the one that's really going to emerge as the number 1 to Brady. In my opinion, Mike Evans is better than Godwin, but Godwin's being taken higher than Evans in a lot of leagues. I'm saying avoid them both just because we don't know what's going to happen. With a shortened offseason, I don't know how things are going to go the first year in Tampa. But it'll be interesting to see. Derrick Henry, I don't think he's going to have quite the year he had last year, but I think he's probably a good second-round pick. He's not going to help you much in the pass game. They did bring in Darrington Evans, who's going to help on passing downs. So you're really hoping that he can get in some goal line work to get you some touchdowns. Then after that, I would say my number 3 receiver would be Tyreek Hill. He's going to produce just like most of the other players on the Kansas City offense. I think he's pretty safe. He's going to get his targets, going to go deep. Mahomes loves to throw the ball deep. Then after that, a couple other guys to keep an eye on. Julio Jones, he hasn't been able to score touchdowns the past few years. It gets really aggravating. In PPR leagues, maybe you can trust him, but I'm not really super hot on him this year. Maybe a second-round pick. And Dalvin Cook, I don't think he's going to be quite as good as he was last year. I think they still want to run the ball, even though Kevin Stefanski did leave. We know Mike Zimmer likes to run the ball. But I'm saying be a little bit hesitant. They still need a little bit of work on the offensive line. They did get a little bit better this offseason, bringing in Ezra Cleveland in the draft at tackle and making a couple smaller moves. But I would say avoid Cook in the first round. Maybe late first you can take him, early second take him just because the running back group is really thin this year. It's top heavy. Once you get out of round 2 or 3, there's nothing sure at running back. So those are some of the top prospects, some of the top prospects in your fantasy draft. So be sure to let me know what you thought in the comments section. If you have your own fantasy advice for everyone else, be sure to chime in the comments section. Love to hear from you. Like to see who's watching. So that's all for this time. Next time we'll start going by position, and we'll start off probably with the quarterbacks, where everyone wants to start off. Should be a decent class this year. We'll be looking forward until next time. Until next time, we'll see you later.